Welcome to the first unofficial podcast of Vlad and Con.
Welcome, thank you.
Welcome indeed. We are reporting live from lovely Ivanhoe, Melbourne.
It is actually a really nice house. It's really nice.
It is quite a grandiose house, very
grand piano.
And an amazing liquor cabinet right now, which I'm considering raiding right now. I really am considering getting shit-faced.
I'll tell you what, though, it's really appropriate that there is a grand piano in this room because our podcast tonight will focus on the passing of the legendary, immortal, the purple one, the great Prince.
Indeed, it's a very sad day in the world of music and entertainment, since we're fortunate enough to see him, but we'll talk about that later. However, yes, it is a very sad day, and I mean, let's face it, two of the greatest icons of the 80s, Michael Jackson and Prince, right now are in heaven.
Absolutely. We went through Twitter and we found some quotes from some celebrities and their reactions to the death of Prince. Magic Johnson said, "Prince and Michael were the only artists I actually followed around the world to see their stellar performances." JT, Justin Timberlake, numb, stunned. "This can't be real." Alan DeGeneres said Prince was brilliant and larger than life. What a sad day. Quincy Jones, the famous maestro, the producer who helped Michael Jackson with Thriller, Bad, Off the Wall, and also produced for Frank Sinatra, said R.I.P. to Prince, a true artist in every sense of the word, gone way too soon.
Well, I think that says it all right there. I mean, with the exception of Michael Jackson, and I'm only going to mention her for comparative reasons. Madonna, she was an icon, but not as big as Michael Jackson and Prince. I'm sorry, Madonna, but your limelight has passed, and you're still trying to hold on to, basically, past accomplishments. However, Michael and Prince, if you listen to their music, it was still relevant. It was still very relevant, and that's why it influenced so many people, because of its relevancy, even to this day. I mean, you hear a song like, say, I don't know, Purple Rain, or Raspberry Beret, or Bad, or what's it called, The Way You Make Me Feel. Any person these days will listen to that song and be influenced straight away. That's how relevant they were.
Definitely, I agree with you, Vlad. As soon as you hear the opening to The Way You Make Me Feel, you know exactly what song it is, you know who the singer is. It certainly makes an impact. Prince Roger Nelson was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and was known for most of his music career simply by the name Prince. When he got to a certain point in his career, he had a big fallout with Warner Brothers and just changed his name to a symbol. He was the artist formerly known as Prince. What do you think of that, Vlad?
Well, this is something interesting I want to bring up. Kevin Smith once produced a documentary with Prince, but it was never released. And when he was told he was going to speak to Prince on the phone, he asked, what do I call him? Artist? His royal purpleness? And he said, no, he's back to Prince now. But regardless of what you called him, you know who you're talking about. He was iconic. He became an icon. Many people have iconic names. He became an icon. The merge of the male and female symbol put together. When you see that symbol, you know who you're talking about. Prince. MJ, the two letters. Prince. I mean, sorry, forgive me. I should say Michael Jackson. I slipped there a little bit. I didn't think before I talked. But you know what I'm saying basically right now. He was iconic. The man in life was an icon. Very few people have done that.
Absolutely. And I think you made a really good point there, Vlad, when you spoke about the gender and you spoke about the symbol, the symbol that merges both genders. One of my first introductions to Prince was listening to If I Was Your Girlfriend, one of his tracks off of Sign of the Times, his album in 1987. And as I started listening to that song, I thought to myself, my gosh, this does not sound like a man. It sounds like a woman. I was a little bit perplexed as the song went on. The lyrics were talking about how the boyfriend in the relationship would take care of his girlfriend, and for them not to play their stereotypical roles in the relationship, they can...
the reversal of gender roles, which is something that's always brought up in mainstream media today, whether or not men can look after the homestead and women go out to work and earn an income, which they can, of course. I'm not arguing about that, but back in the 80s, it was common to have, the mum stay home, she raises the children, she makes the house, she cooks, right? And the man goes to work. But then you start hearing about gender roles being reversed. And Prince brought that to the mainstream.
To the forefront.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's talk about his influences first. His father was just an amazing piano player, and he was wanting to play instruments just as well as his father. But when you look at some mainstream pop culture acts that may have influenced Prince, you can see that he's got a little bit of Jimi Hendrix in him. Jimi Hendrix had a very similar style to Prince with the way that he dressed and the fact that he could play that guitar so amazingly well. Prince has stated on many interviews before, Vlad, and I would say his interview in 1999 with Larry King, he stated that he looks up to Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is like a bigger brother to him. So to have Stevie Wonder and Jimi Hendrix be two superstars that you're looking up to really does ingrain the DNA of funk, blues, R&B, that wave of black music from the 30s and the 40s to the 50s to the 60s. Prince was really a product of that, don't you think?
Well, he lived a very difficult life. The man suffered for his art, and I think that's reflected in his music, all the pain he felt. It's an arduous journey in music, especially back in the 80s when you're trying to stand out and you were different.
Let's not forget about the love too, and I think that's where his influence for Marvin Gaye comes to the forefront. Prince has made a lot of songs that have to do with the art of love making. I think a lot of babies have been brought into this world, listen, all based on some of Prince's most amazing songs.
If you were a teenager in the 80s and you were in your room and you're trying to hide the fact you had a guy or a girl in your bedroom and you were playing a Prince song, well, I'm pretty sure you were conceived partly due to Prince right there. He spun the wheels a little bit, got the, what's it called, the emotions flowing, I guess.
He brought out those emotions in. He was the man. You got to respect a man who can do that, who can make people happy. I think that's the message that I think Prince may want to be remembered by at the end of the day.
I say him being cheeky. I have to admit, when he was in Melbourne and there was a lyric, I want to be deep inside you. And you can take that metaphorically or literally, but just the cheekiness was there, and you can take it in many different ways. But however, I liked how he went there. He wasn't afraid to go there.
And we'll talk about that later, because we did go and see Prince when he performed in Melbourne only 6 weeks ago, and we saw him at the Arts Centre. He was amazing. We'll speak about that in depth a little bit later as well. But let's talk about his artistry, Vlad. The man could play 27 instruments. That is amazing.
He was, and all the respect out there to Heath Slater, he was the one-man band. He was. You had to give him that respect. You can joke about it.
Jerk about it?
I am. You know what? You could probably joke about it too. You probably could jerk off to it.
And he's got the Heath Slater reference, the wrestling reference.
I'm currently recovering from a cold right now. That's why I sound a bit nasally. But, well, which other artist can you name plays that many instruments?
Stevie Wonder would be someone that comes to mind. And again, it does really tie into the fact that Prince was influenced by Stevie Wonder. The fact that he could play 27 instruments is amazing. And a fact for you, Vlad, on Prince's first album, For You, in 1979, he played every single instrument on that entire album. That album was made by a 20-year-old kid who could play every instrument.
I think that says it right there, how good he was. You can't touch someone like that.
Where are you, Justin Bieber? Where are you? Can you play 27 instruments? Can you play 27 instruments One Direction? Zayn Malik.
He can barely take a piss in a toilet, let alone play that many instruments. I mean, I hate to talk about him. I really do. He's very talented, but the thing is, he's a boy, I should rather say, that graffitied on a hotel wall and acted like he did nothing wrong. He urinated in public. He could barely walk up the Great Wall of China. He had to be carried by his bodyguards. And he wants to be taken seriously as an artist. I'm sorry, no, I'm not taking you seriously. I'm sure you got plenty of money and plenty of girls hanging out with you, but you are not touching Michael Jackson and Prince. They eclipse you. They do.
Have you urinated in public before? Because you use that against Justin Bieber, but I've urinated in public before. Have you?
Okay. Let's keep it in context. Have I gone into the woods and urinate on a tree? Yes. While I was camping once? Yes. However, did I urinate in front of people at a restaurant into a mop bucket? Fuck no.
That says it all there. All right, we've sort of steered away from the Prince conversation, and we've surfaced Vlad's anger towards Justin Bieber.
I'd say my anger towards people that call him a great artist. He's not. He's a potential great artist, but he has yet to achieve that. Prince and Michael, you can't touch them.
Future podcast there, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any comments about Justin Bieber, if you want to defend him, if you want to tell us why he's so amazing.
No. Let's not bring up his fangirls here and they start talking about how how awesome he is and everything. No. Can we get maybe a mature response, not a bunch of 16-year-old girls who just want to vent their frustration out?
We'll leave the detailed email address in our link so that you can send us your emails and we will try our best to respond to them. Please also, no hate mail. We want to have a conversation. We want to read these during our next podcast where we'll be able to actually respond to them. And hopefully you can enlighten us, Justin Bieber girls, Justin Bieber boys, on why he's so good. Back to Prince, Vlad.
Yes, well,
back to Prince. Talk about your favourite songs. Favourite songs of Prince.
Okay, it's not a song I think Prince had on an album, but it was something that he sang live at concert. It was Unchain My Heart. Hugh Laurie, who you might know as the actor who played in House, right?
Yeah.
Did his own rendition of that. I thought that was really good. I used to love his rendition. Now, even though I don't think I have it, I was not allowed to record Prince playing Unchained My Heart at the concert. However, I have to admit, his version was really, really, really something different. It was the same song, but it sounded different, and it made me enjoy it that much more. And the look on his face when he was singing it and playing the piano, you could tell he was singing from experience. And I know everyone can relate to that song, Unchain My Heart. I know we all can. But something about the way he sang it made it different. Whether or not it was the fact that he lost someone very close to him prior to the concert, or maybe it was just his years and years of addiction that he can maybe relate to in terms of basically gripped by something. However, it was amazing. Purple Rain, of course, that's a default favorite for everyone.
Let's go back to Unchain My Heart. I love how you brought up the fact that it wasn't a song that he released. It was just a song that he sang on the night.
He took it and made it his own.
I love that because Prince is renowned for that, Vlad. He's an artist who has been able to just take a song that he just likes and make it his own. He's done that so many times before in his career. He feels as if, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the great man, but from all the interviews that I've read and everything that I have been able to digest on him, I interpret that Prince loved music. He loved songs. He loved riffs. He wasn't attached to singers. He was attached to songs. And that's why you would see the Super Bowl performance in 2007, that epic performance where in the set list he included the Foo Fighters' Best of You, a song that you would say, wow, Prince is covering is covering Best of You by Foo Fighters. I didn't even know he would even listen to that song. He took it, he just killed it. Absolutely killed it.
I agree. I'm in regards to music, I'm slightly ignorant, I'd say. I'm not as in tune with it as you are, but I have to admit, if Prince, say he took any song that I like from any album, let's say whether it be Disturbed, anything Disturbed, or anything, say, from Eminem, he could take it and make it his own. And also, if you've never heard a song before, you'd convinced he wrote it.
Absolutely. I think a really good video that you could watch online, I hope it's still there, it's a video of Prince performing a guitar solo to Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, and CeeLo Green is there singing, you know the song that goes, I think you're crazy, I think you're crazy. Not that that's the one, not that we're great singers ourselves, we don't claim to be, but just Prince's, that guitar has so much soul in it when he's playing it. It's just, there's something special. Everything that Prince did was magic, and we can see it and we can go, oh wow, this is magic, but this is not magic. This is hard work. The man is dedicated at his craft. His career has spanned for 40 years. At Paisley Park, his studio, he would be recording for years and years and years. He would not take breaks.
It was a labor of love. He knew that the only way he would become the best is by putting his heart and soul into what he did, and he was one of the very lucky few that it paid off.
Absolutely. When we talk about favorite songs of Prince's, my favorites, I don't have too many to be able to even comment, but I'll list a couple. How's this? I'll list a couple. Go. All right, go. Okay, so a few that I have to say. I Want to Be Your Lover. An amazing song. So much funk. I love that funk. Just anything with just that that soul of funk that sort of just comes from James Brown, comes from, James Brown's got it, Stevie Wonder's got it, you know, Little Richard, yeah, Michael Jackson's got it. What's that man's name? I forgot it just off the top of my head. Super Freak, Rick James, love Rick James. Rick James has got it. These guys, they just all have that funk, and so yeah, I Want to Be Your Lover, Delirious, just songs like that. He's just got that funk, just that pop. She's Always in My Hair. That's a really underrated song. That's sort of venturing towards another style of music. That's a rock song. And again, another thing that he could do blues, he could do funk, he could do rock, he could do pop, he could do anything. I'm sure you could even give him...
You said it before. He wasn't tied down to genres or artists. He just loved songs. He had no boundaries.
And love songs, he also has great love songs too, because...
The one song that sticks out the most in my head was one he wrote, but he didn't necessarily... what's called sing. He wrote it for Sinead O'Connor. Nothing Compares to You.
Oh, he did sing it. He sang it all right, and he sang it. I have to put this to bed. He sang it better than her.
Of course, yeah.
He did not write it for her. He wrote it for himself. She took it. She sang it.
Hold on.
This happened.
I read that he gave it to her as a gift.
Well, actually, there's a really good story behind this. I have watched an interview where Prince called Sinead. Is it Sinead O'Connor? Sinead O'Connor. Okay. He called her to his Paisley Park studios, and she came over. And according to her side of the story, they really got into a heated exchange.
They would have.
And what happened was he was not pleased, Vlad. He was not pleased. He did not want her to cover that song because Prince, we know he's got a very complicated relationship with the internet, and he's got very passionate beliefs when it comes down to music and who music belongs to.
Intellectual property you're talking about here, correct?
Absolutely, yep, absolutely. And she, went through all the legalities of songwriting, song taking. I think she did it all right. But Prince didn't appreciate it because at the end of the day, it's his song and it never went through to him, I think. She said that he even physically struck her. So it actually did escalate. But then again, she doesn't look like she's too well, as you said. And I don't know if I take too much of that seriously anyway.
Well, she's gone through a lot. And I think we all have demons, and clearly she's struggled with them. But then again, so did Prince. Prince struggled a lot with his addictions.
Well, I mean, Prince has done okay. I think, he had his hip problems, but ultimately, I don't think he was too addicted. He lived a very clean lifestyle. I
heard rumors he was addicted to cocaine.
I don't think that's true. I'm very certain. Well, I didn't live with him, so I can't confirm 100%. But it could no foul play.
It could be just the media releasing propaganda. They do it about everyone. If you can't get dirt on someone, you create dirt, or you just take any small rumor and you blow it up. But I find it hard to believe that someone who looked very, very healthy died of something as simple as a flu. And I know we're digressing a little bit, but just it shocks me. Someone who, let's call it out there. The 80s was a time of, a lot of inhibitions. Everyone was, being very liberal with substance abuse, drinking, alcohol, promiscuity. And what killed this man wasn't all that stuff. It was the flu.
Well, let's look into that a little bit more. Prince was a Jehovah's Witness.
Very devout man.
A devout man, and part of their belief is that there should be no blood transfusions during surgeries, and through wearing high heels, which was one of the main reasons, not the only reason, however, he had poor hip mobility, and he had some hip problems, and he required some surgery that did require those blood transfusions, and he never took those surgeries. So to deal with the pain, I'm led to believe through reading TMZ and through reading every bit of news I can actually get a hold of, he was taking OxyContin, which is a very, very strong painkiller, and it may have grown a bit of a dependence on them. We won't know until the toxicology reports have been, confirmed and released. But, that's just a theory. So, I don't know. I'm very hesitant to say he's he's drug addicted. I don't like to throw the drug addicted. There's a difference between snorting a line of cocaine, and there's a difference between popping a couple of pills because your hips are really, really down and you've got, your circumstances that are not going right and you can't have that surgery. So, I'm going to give Prince the benefit of the doubt right now.
Well, we all got addictions in some way, but if he did have a problem, an ailment, he should have gotten taken care of it. Regardless, I mean, I respect his religion, but I'm sure there were some other alternatives besides taking painkillers 24/7.
So, what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think Prince should have had the surgery? Do you think that he demonstrated great devoutness to his religion by not taking the surgery? I mean, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? We won't really know the full story, will we, Vlad?
Well, with all these things, basically, do you ever get told the full story? JFK, Michael Jackson's death, Prince's death. There's always some truth that's either withheld or obscured. Obfuscation is probably one of the most powerful tools the media has. They twist and bend the narrative to suit their means, making money.
Absolutely. Okay, so back to the favourite songs. Cream, an amazing song. Just love that song. It was actually his last United States #1 hit. Cream, an amazing song. Head, which it's exactly what you think it is about, Vlad. I think.
We'll talk about Prince's sexuality. So far I think that speaks volumes right there. Cream and Head.
Yeah, and they're exactly what you think about. Let's talk about his rivalry. You've been mentioning Michael Jackson's name a couple of times. I hear the name coming up, and the thing is, Vlad, I've got to let you know, there's a deep history between Prince and Michael Jackson. This is going to go through the internet. You need to make sure you're very careful with your wording here, because in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 90s, even today, in America, you had two households. You had Prince households, you had Michael Jackson households, and families, they had their favourite, and it was like a footy team. Were you on Team Michael or were you Team Prince? People had their team. Michael Jackson would be the equivalent of the New York Yankees.
Clean.
Just a franchise, success, wins after wins after wins, and Prince would be the equivalent of another big team. He'd be the equivalent of like the Chicago Cubs, a really big team too. So you had two powerhouse teams. I love my NBA, so if I could reference the NBA, you'd have the Celtics, you'd have the Lakers. That's where you'd go. Celtics, Lakers, MJ, Prince. To blockbuster performance.
Well, look at the distinction between the two artists. Yeah, Michael Jackson, very clean cut artist, right? All his songs inspired hope or raised awareness to issues around the world. They don't really care about us, right? Earth Song, about basically global warming, about the deforestation of the world.
I really love that song. Those songs are all amazing, absolutely. And Michael's image was clean cut until he was smeared by the molestation claims. And I'll just say firstly, I will never believe those. And the reason why I'll never believe those, because the gates to Neverland were open for thousands and thousands of sick children, and these kids that went to Neverland, they went there, they had popcorn, they had rides galore. They could go on any ride they wanted. They could watch movies. Michael actually brought in thousands of kids, and if only 5 claim that he molested them, what are the odds that if you opened your doors to thousands and thousands of people, 5 people would see it as an opportunity to get some money off of you? I'm pretty sure that it would happen regardless. Was Michael a bit naive? Yes. I personally don't think he was a child molester, and I never will. So we're going to put that conversation to bed. His image was clean cut. I understand what you're saying. I 100% agree with you. His image was clean cut. He expected it to be clean cut. He wanted to clean cut he wanted to be family entertainment. He wanted to be, you could listen to him if you were a mum. You could listen to him if you were a dad, grandma, granddad, brother, sister, kids.
Demographics together. He united different demographics together. That's what he did best. Doesn't matter if you were young, old, middle-aged, whatever background you come from. If you listen to a Michael Jackson song, you could relate to it.
And the thing was, it was perfect pop music.
King of pop. He was so good at it. He was called the king of pop. When someone calls you the king of something, you know you're damn good at it.
And by the end of his career, they were calling him just the king. It was just the king.
What was Elvis? Remember that video? Like his very early last concert. I just want to say, and he's handing out towels.
So let's just keep a tally. Vlad has offended Elvis Presley fans. He's offended Justin Bieber fans.
Okay. With all due respect, Elvis's issue wasn't that he wasn't talented, just that his weight and he's basically he was getting ill. He was getting the years of drug abuse and alcoholism.
All right, get back to what you've written down. You got some notes about Prince and MJ and their rivalry. We're not going to talk about Elvis for 5 minutes. Get to it.
Okay, if I talk about Elvis, I'll bloody talk about Elvis.
That's another podcast. We'll line it up with the Justin Bieber one. Let's go on to this Prince MJ rivalry. Let me just tell you one thing that you don't have in your notes because I just know it off the top of my head. In 2014, there was an unreleased interview that Prince had with a journalist from the Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, do you know this? And the Rolling Stone magazine journalist asked Prince your thoughts on Michael Jackson. Now keep in mind, this was in January 2014, so 4.5 years after Michael Jackson died. Prince said, and I paraphrase because it's off the top of my head, I haven't written it down, but Prince said, I don't want to talk about that one. This is too close to me.
Oh.
So that just blows my mind.
I think there was a love-hate relationship. He admired Michael Jackson, but also he wanted to beat Michael Jackson. And that shows the respect for it. He doesn't want to talk about Michael Jackson because he has too much to talk about and he would rather keep that internally.
Maybe because Michael Jackson didn't really talk much about him. He often measured himself towards Michael Jackson because it was a competitive rivalry, wasn't it?
It was competitive, extremely competitive. One which outdo the other. There was a I was reading off Soma, I think it was Soma.com, incident that happened on a James Brown concert back in 1985. James Brown asked Michael Jackson to get on the stage. He did. Michael Jackson got on stage, did the moonwalk, did some moves. Crowd went wild. Prince got on the stage after that, played a few lines off a guitar, did some moves. After that, Michael Jackson didn't want to be on stage anymore, and he walked off.
Well, that was a tough one because I've watched this video many times before. There's a really, really clean version of Michael Jackson singing. Pretty soon he's singing James Brown's song, It's a Man's World, and he sings a couple of bars to that song and then just hits one of his awesome James Brown strut moves, and you could hear women screaming and fainting. You could hear men doing it too. And then Michael, this was the really interesting part. Michael whispered to James Brown's ear, get Prince.
This is interesting. Do I interpret this as... this is my interpretation. I think it was because if you're a mega star, you want another mega star on stage with you, I mean, like, let's give the fans what they want. I think he was playing to the crowd, not so much trying to have a battle with... a shoot battle with Prince. I'm using wrestling terminology again, I apologize. But you can take it as Michael trying to basically call Prince out. I'd like to think of this story, and I'll let you finish it, as basically Michael catering to the fans. He was a showman. I think that's what he was doing here.
Or it was the equivalent of a battle rap before battle raps even existed.
Epic Epic rap battles of history, and we finally got one in real life. So we didn't have to freaking get a fictional version of it. No, we had it happen.
I'll tell you what, James Brown invited Michael Jackson up, and for minutes just hyped up MJ, just saying, Michael Jackson, I'm proud of this boy. Him and his brothers and sisters, immensely talented family. Michael Jackson is almost passing the torch to Michael Jackson because he knows everyone at that point knew Michael Jackson was it. He was the it factor. He was everything. But Michael Jackson, and if you look really carefully around the internet, there are photos. There's a photo of Michael Jackson reading an article in the paper with Prince on the front cover. Michael Jackson's reading this article really intently. Michael Jackson knew that his competition was Prince. And Michael Jackson didn't really have much competition in the 80s. He was the man. Thriller, Bad, Off the Wall, which was released in 79 and went through to the 80s, We Are the World. Michael Jackson just killed it. He was the most dominant act in the 80s.
The man. He was the man.
And then you had Prince. You had this unbelievably talented showman who was just the complete antithesis of Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was clean cut, family friendly. He had magic. And then you had Prince, who was not clean. Prince was dirty, wasn't he?
He was a very sexual person. He was. Listen, you said it before. Head and cream.
Okay. Love it.
Innuendos for oral sex and basically bodily secretions.
Well, I love it because one of the lyrics in Head is head. And he says, "Till you get enough head."
I wonder if this will work. You play that song as your.
You're such a good girl. I heard you like it to go down. And then you got that funky bass line. So it's like you can't laugh at it though, because he had those just crazy lyrics in there. But by golly, the music was unbelievable. That bass guitar was popping. The strings were popping off the guitar. There was so much funk in that track.
There's so much. Basically, it was just massive. That song was one massive sexual innuendo, and that's what made it awesome. Though it was cheeky. It made you smile.
What about Cream? Cream, get on top. Cream, you will cop. What do you think you'll cop?
The only thing you just should have said yourself cops it to just say come. It would have just I know he wanted that was the original lyric probably for it, but he realized it was too bold.
You sexy motherfucker. Do another Prince song. I mean, these songs, we just keep rolling them one after another. He was the complete opposite to Michael Jackson. Not clean, not cut, not family friendly. Prince was dirty. Prince was rough around the edges. Prince was just the complete opposite, and that attracted so many people to him, because here you have the poster boy of the 80s. You've got Michael Jackson, the main man, right on top of the kingdom. He's got the crown right on the top of his head, and just lurking beneath him, you've got this young Prince who's fearless. And there's always something with people who have no fear, and that is they draw fear themselves. People fear them because they're so unpredictable,
and no one knows anything about them. You fear what you don't understand. No one understood what Prince was all about. Like, I mean, not to say his topics was taboo, but they were very, very bold. It was very bold.
You mean at the time?
Thank you. Yes, at the time.
Because at the time.
Pardon me, sorry.
At the time, it was definitely something that people were not really used to. We had the 50s where, Elvis started thrusting his hips and really brought that sexual innuendo into popular culture. But in the 80s, Michael Jackson didn't do that. Prince did. Prince was the one who took Elvis's sexual innuendo and he took it to another level. And you know what I love about what Prince did? Sorry to just stop you there, but what I love with what Prince did was that he didn't simply do it for shock value. There was substance, there was talent there, and everything had a purpose. It wasn't simply to draw attention. Like today with the internet, we have lots of clickbait items on the internet where sensationalism. So you see an article, oh wow, Prince and MJ killed each other. You click it, bam, and then you see the article. Prince and MJ, they killed each other at a rap battle. You know what I mean? Like it's something to attract you to the click, and you get it. Prince was not like that. His shock value had substance because it had just this sheer amount of talent. The man could dance, and he could dance very well. The man had stage presence.
He danced in the rain while it was pouring rain.
Unbelievable. He had the stage presence. He had the charisma. He had the talent. And then he had the showmanship. And he also had the artistry because he could play the instruments. He was a complete all-rounder. He was the equivalent, if we were talking about an NBA draft pick, we'd be talking about a number one draft pick. This guy is a Kobe Bryant. Well, even though Kobe Bryant wasn't actually number one. This guy's a LeBron James. He's a LeBron James. But, he was, but I can't say he was a LeBron James because that's really unfair on Prince. LeBron James isn't as good as Prince. He's the equivalent of,
Okay, so I offended Justin Bieber and Elvis. You just pissed off LeBron James fans.
Well, until LeBron James actually, that's another podcast, all right?
I think we have like several topics now. We've already like listed down and talk about like whether or not Elvis was getting worse later in his years, and do we hate or love Justin Bieber?
Well, I like his new stuff. I think Justin Bieber's new stuff's really good.
Yeah, well, he's improving, yes, but I'm not his music I'm commenting on, it's his behavior. If you're going to call yourself a role model or put yourself out there in the public light, and we're into this because I hate to digress into this little shit, at least act like a fucking adult.
Have you seen his dick pic?
I'm ashamed to say yes.
Impressive?
Yeah, and now I know where his ego stems from.
It's not bad, is it?
Well, look, I'm cool with my shit, man. I'm cool with my shit, bro. I don't need that. I mean, like, yeah, that stuff's good, man, but my shit's good too. No.
I'm very confused. What are you doing?
It's Joe Rogan made a comment. He had on part of his act. He like comment saying that if big dick pills were like, basically freely available and they worked to everyone, right? No one would not be on them. Every man would be on big dick pills purely because why? Every man wants to hear or feel that their dick is big, and Justin Bieber has a big dick. Yes, fuck yeah, he does. I'm not gonna fucking go there with him. However, big dick or not, millions of dollars or not, does not excuse you for acting like a little shit.
All right. Thanks, Vlad.
I can't believe we went from Prince talking about...
Okay, all right. Let's go back to the Prince and Michael Jackson rivalry. Where are your notes? Do you even have notes?
I have notes.
Or can you just tell us, without just getting into great detail about Justin Bieber's
You
dick?
brought it up, son.
I asked you a yes or no question. I didn't realize you'd give me everything you got. You have a whole page, Justin Bieber's dick, in your notebook.
It's so smooth and shiny and just so huge while it's flaccid and shit.
I'm really concerned. I don't think there's anyone else in this room, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking right now. Vlad and Justin Bieber's dick have a love-hate relationship.
Next podcast, how much has Justin Bieber's cock influenced in music and entertainment?
I don't want Vlad to be listening to any Prince songs when he's looking at Justin Bieber's dick pic.
Oh, you're a fucking asshole. You're an absolute prick, you know that? Let's have a look here. Public displays of tension, we talked about that back at the James Brown concert. Also, apparently there was something happened when Michael Jackson contacted Prince to collaborate with him on the song Bad.
Okay,
Heard about this one?
I know everything. Unfortunately, I really should have been learning about planets or something.
Well, to be fair, science, technology, and I'd say, well, we all have our topics that we're good at. Music is definitely yours. You are a muso by far. The only thing missing right now is you playing an instrument. That's the only thing that's missing right now.
I'm not bad at the piano. I can play with one hand.
That's impressive.
That's all right. But okay, back to what happened with Bad.
Apparently what happened was Prince took offense to Michael sending him a song called Bad and saying that basically what Prince belongs in a world where there's a song called Bad. Instead, Prince then re-recorded the song and gave it back to Michael and said, this is the way you should have recorded it.
And isn't that an ultimate slap in the face from one musician to another?
And I'm part of people, but I'm very liberal when it comes to my speech, especially when I'm talking with my friends. But that's basically giving the finger to Michael Jackson saying, fuck you.
And there we go. What I have heard, I'll give you my sources. First is the audio interview that Quincy Jones has given on the special edition Bad album that Michael Jackson released in 2001 to commemorate, all his albums that he'd sold, which would be hundreds of millions. Quincy Jones said in this audio piece, which is very short, it's only about 20 seconds, he said that he got both of them together in a room, and Michael and Prince were sitting across a table from one another, and Prince looked at the lyrics of the song and he said, your butt is mine. And you can even watch a video of Chris Rock actually asking Prince what all that was about. Prince had said with his own words, I don't know who's saying that to who, because you're not saying that to me, and I sure as hell ain't saying that to you. Prince didn't want to say your buddy's mine. What a terrible start to a song.
Your butt is mine.
Who would be saying that? Would Michael be saying that to Prince? Would Prince be saying that to Michael? And Quincy Jones also did say in his audio piece that that may have just been a lighthearted crack to ease the tension in the room, if there was any tension, or maybe that maybe that was just a way to just get the conversation going. But ultimately, Prince had said, "This song is gonna be a number one hit, regardless of whether I'm in it or not." So, I don't see the point in it. There's really, where is the value?
Well, first I want to correct myself. It wasn't Soma, it was salon.com that I got the article from. In regards to basically breaking the tension, you know what? Sometimes a wise crack or a very bold statement can be a very good way to break tension, especially when not expecting it. But then again, to say right now to someone, your butt is mine, when you're in a serious interview and you've had previous, tension with the person, that's a very bold statement to make. I would be very careful. But then again, maybe the media's just blowing it up. Maybe it was a lighthearted comment. I like to think it was less a lighthearted comment that went too far.
We'll never know because we were never in that room. But so
neither of the men that were in that room, they're gone as well now. The truth dies with them.
Quincy's still alive, man. Quincy's still there.
Can you even get him on the podcast?
Probably not. Okay, so they had that incident with the Bad album. But one thing that I wanted to really touch on, which really just goes to show how great their rivalry was. Their rivalry was a competition that was a friendly competition. It wasn't something that I don't think had too much hate in it, because when everyone was throwing stones at Michael Jackson and really, when Michael was going through a very tumultuous time in his career, Prince was asked, and you can find this interview on YouTube, must have been around the year 2000, Vlad. He was asked, so, who would win in a fight with you and MJ? And, Prince could have really said anything. He could have really sunk in his teeth and had a real big bite, and he could have
vented hard.
He could have just, joined in the mob. He could have joined in with that angry mob. Yep, he could have.
Hang Michael Jackson for alleged child pedophilia.
Yep, he could have easily just joined in because Michael was an easy target. Michael had all that surgery.
They both were hard. You have one man who was publicly very sexual in terms of his music, and another man who was very secretive as well. And I think I'd rather say they were both very secretive, and they make very good targets for the media, especially when people don't know much about them.
I think even though Prince was an enigma and Prince was very recluse and quite secretive as well, I definitely think that Prince was far more revered in media circles than Michael. So he wasn't a target. He definitely wasn't a target. But back to what I was saying, Prince was asked, who'd win in a fight. Prince made a couple of jokes, had a couple of laughs, because it's a really good hypothetical question to get asked, I mean, what a laugh that could be.
It's something we like to talk about, a fictional battle. Who would win between these two people, even though you've never seen them fight, and they probably will never be in the same room with hostility that much.
And there are some real cool comic artworks as well of Prince and MJ having fights. So if you dig around, you might be able to find that on the internet. Back to what Prince's reply was. Prince had said straight up, Michael's a lover, not a fighter. And just as a Michael Jackson fan, someone who really loves both artists, I just thought, what a great response. What a really quick wit. Again, Prince's charisma just shown there, didn't it? Because that's a line that Michael Jackson has in The Girl Is Mine. It's a Michael Jackson song. And Michael Jackson says, I'm a lover, not a fighter. And Prince just plucked that out of thin air right there, and he used it. Well, he didn't use it against him. He used it to defend him.
Defend himself and against the interviewer, basically, because that's a cheeky question to ask. It is, especially when you have, everyone knows their rivals, and you ask him, who will win a fight between you and Michael Jackson? And, the guy's like, Michael's a lover.
Well, Prince then spoke about Michael, and he said, he straight up, he tried to make it serious. He said, look, I've never spoken about Michael publicly. And he said, let's just chill. He said to everyone, let's just chill and let's just wait, because he may know something that we all don't know.
For sure.
And, to me, that just really brings that rivalry within a boundary. And that is, their competition. It's a healthy rivalry. They're both using each other as measuring sticks to get better than one another. But at the end of the day, they didn't take cheap shots that crossed the line. You could talk about your looks. You could talk about, I know there was a song where Prince may have spoken about, Michael Jackson's nose job. But, I'm sure that's something that Michael didn't really bothered by. It didn't have anything to do with something like pedophilia, which I think, that's where Michael gets really sad. But back to their rivalry. Another fantastic story was during the This Is It concerts when Michael was preparing, just before Michael died. There was a great article written. I can't remember who. I'll hopefully find it one day and share it with you guys. But there was a great article, and that article had this information on an exchange Michael had between himself and the creative director of the concert, Kenny Ortega. And Michael woke up. He said, "I've got a great idea. I want to recreate a waterfall on the stage. God has given this idea to me, through my sleep, and I want us to do it." And Ortega's like, "Oh, God, ... Michael, can you please tell God to have a rest for a day? Our budget's being blown by a bit." What do you think of that? Pretty funny.
I think Ortega's response was perfect.
Michael's like, "But no, because if we don't do this, God will give the idea to Prince." That was everyone's reaction in the room.
I love how the fact that Michael was apparently he was just a very, I think was it eclectic. He liked to research a lot of different religions. Like I know that after he died, I know a lot of Muslims, a lot of different religious groups came out and said that Michael was associated with them or was willing to make the jump to that said religion. But the fact that he was like, "God, give me this image, and if we don't do it, he's gonna give it to Prince because Prince is the only one worthy of having it besides me." That's a beautiful line right there.
I love how you put that. It's true. I think, there are a lot of people who measure the two and they compare the two and they put one or the other down. At the end of the day, they're both giants. And for Michael to just stop and, don't take anything away from Michael's artistry because Prince says he's a genius. So if Prince says he's a genius, you should think he's a genius too because Prince's opinion outweighs either of ours and it outweighs anyone else's. But as I said, if Michael views Prince as a threat and as a rival and as competition, then that goes to show how good Prince is because in my opinion there's no one better. And that goes to show that they're both just absolute giants of the industry. And it goes to show that their rivalry, although a rivalry that had a lot of downs, it's a rivalry that at the end of the day was very healthy and helps really foster two amazingly talented individuals because when 1999 was released, it was not released far from Thriller. When Bad was released, Sign of the Times wasn't far behind. They were very close. Their releases were very close. I don't find it to be a coincidence as well.
I just want to add something you said before about how their rivalry was honourable. Basically, they didn't take smears at each other. They didn't try to smear each other. Look at the comparison now in this day and age. Well, you see guys like, say, I know one interesting person that comes to mind is Iggy Azalea. Now her novelty's worn off. She's fading into obscurity. However, she was calling out a lot of different artists. She blamed Britney Spears for the lack of success for the album Pretty Girls. Single, sorry, rather, I should say, or collaborative single. And also she's tried to talk down or tried to look down to Eminem. And she purely did this just for attention. Michael and Prince did not do that to each other. Didn't talk each other just for the sake of, well, not that it existed back then, for the sake of likes or hits. It was just, he's good at what he does, I'm good at what I do, yeah? I'm not going to talk him down because he's that damn good.
And they both passed through the message of respect, unity, love, regardless of how they both did it. They both had very similar mentalities, and I think that's why people draw a lot of comparisons to the two.
I think you said it best. Michael would take one song and work on it for months, years, until it became perfect. Prince would take any song and just go with the flow, and it'd become a hit. Very different, however, the quality of their work was amazing.
Absolutely. Different approaches, and their quality was amazing. We've left with a treasure trove of Prince material, and that is something...
And unreleased.
Yeah, the vault.
Listen to Kevin Smith's story regarding his experience with Prince, a very comical one. However, what raised an eyebrow with me was at the end of the recanting of the story, Kevin Smith said, "What's happening with the documentary? He's not releasing it. He's keeping it." What do you mean? Well, Prince has fully made, fully choreographed, produced works of art, songs, music videos, documentaries locked away, and he's not releasing. And Kevin Smith, until when? The death of music, and apparently the Prince manager said, I don't know. He's not releasing them. So we all know Michael had works that he didn't release, and they got released after he died. I'm wondering, will we get like Hit and Run 3?
I'm thinking with Prince, we're going to have music that could get released centuries from now.
I'm really curious to see that documentary because Prince was a devout Jehovah's Witness, and I love talking about religion, but the documentary was about, well, I think, I might be paraphrasing, but he wanted to put Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and have it in everyone's face. That's what he said about his documentary. And a lot of it was basically Kevin Smith recording Prince talking about the Bible, about his interpretations of it. And that's one documentary I love to see because it would be him behind the music. What drove him? Was it his religion? Was it his devoutness, his conviction? What was it that drove his music? Because you have a really very religious man, and religion is not very well known for its sexual explicitity. How do you pronounce that word? Sorry?
Explicitity?
Explicitity, thank you. It's not very in your face. God, you don't see Jesus saying, head. It's great.
And, while we go into that, the timeline is very important to take note, Vlad. Prince became a Jehovah's Witness in 2001. Head was not written in 2001. So,
wasn't he a Seventh-day Adventist?
Well, I just know that he became a Jehovah's Witness in 2001, and a lot of those provocative songs were released way before 2001. So there would be circumstances where, and I think it happened in Melbourne just about 6 or 8 weeks ago, when there was an after party, the DJ here in Melbourne played Head, and Prince insisted that he turn it off because Prince's mentality has changed. Prince is not as provocative anymore. So,
that explains a lot.
and yeah, absolutely. And I had even read an article that he was apparently celibate as well. So,
He didn't
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take that, I'm not going to take that as fact, but, it's just interesting to put it out there and see what you guys think. Have you heard more about that? The one thing that is really important with regards to Prince, and something that we need to remember, because this podcast is a tribute to him, and we just sit there and we just reflect on just his amazing talent, his rivalries with his famous rivalries with Michael Jackson, and his amazing music, his amazing albums, his amazing showmanship, his charisma. You know the songs, the movies. At the end of the day, we're just shocked that he's just died, because we only saw him 7 or 8 weeks ago at the Arts Centre in Melbourne. We took a photo after the show
in front of the Spire
at the Arts Centre, and we took the photo because we were just so happy with our experience.
It was a good night. It was a very good night. I mean, tickets went for about $389, I think, roughly, were they?
It was, yeah, definitely. It was the best concert I've ever been to, and I've seen Justin Timberlake, I've seen The Police, I've seen who else have I seen?
Eminem.
Lady Gaga, Eminem, Lil Wayne.
To be fair, Lady
Prince
Gaga
was just on another level. He just was just on another level. I mean, I could not hold any of them anywhere near him, because the man understood how the show needed to be run. Every other singer on that list that I just said, they're fantastic. There's a reason why I went to see him in the first place. But every concert was missing something. The Police, they did their concert at the MCG. And at the MCG, it's a 100,000 seat football ground. The Police is not a band that can fit 100,000 people into a football ground. They can't justify playing there because of the fact they're not a Michael Jackson, and we say his name again and again, but he's the benchmark. He's the measuring stick. The Police, they're not Elvis, they're not the Beatles, so they can't justify playing in a 100,000 seat arena, but they did, and it was 35,000 seats full, and that means there were 60,000 seats empty, and we were sitting up in the nosebleeds when the whole stadium was practically empty. The floor was full because that's where that's the standing zone, and it just took away from the experience, Prince's experience. Let's talk about the Arts Centre and the way it's set up. There were a few candles, and they were lit. There was a purple backdrop, a kaleidoscope, and a piano, and a microphone, and the most talented person who could play it on the planet.
Okay. It was very simple. I mean, the name of the concert itself was just Prince, piano and a mic. That was it. And that's all he really needs, I think. He doesn't need backup dancers and the most lavish of stages to perform. No, he just needs one instrument and his voice.
And if he wanted, he could bring 2 or 27, right? Because he can play them all.
He'd be like hopping from instrument to instrument, and it would just be a perfect succession of different sounds and vocals.
Absolutely. I think we went on the second night, first concert in Melbourne.
First concert in Melbourne, second night I think it was, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yep. And the one thing that I can say, walking into that room, walking into that door, it was a small venue, and it's not because...
Smaller than I thought it would be, much smaller. I really thought someone of his caliber would have like rented out like, I don't know, a much bigger place in the auditorium of the...
Rod Laver Arena?
I thought
Maybe.
he would... Even Eddie Hatt Stadium, man.
Well, he did Rod Laver Arena in 2012, but the man does not conform to any of the standards or any of the procedures that have been set in the entertainment industry. He goes by his own accord. Whatever he wants to do, whatever he feels, he does it. It's got nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with, making, groundbreaking records or, doing anything like that. With Prince, it's all got to do with what he feels. And, it's not like he couldn't have sold a 12 or a 20,000 seat stadium. He could have easily sold it. He chose to do it in the Art Centre. He chose to have the small, intimate venue. And everyone who was in there got the concert of a lifetime because, firstly, you had the ambience, which inside... It was almost like, hey, Prince is coming into your lounge room. He's coming into our lounge room here with his grand piano. He's playing for us.
He's about to have a coffee and sit down with you, and later on he's going to jump on the piano, and we just want to talk about music. That's all you're going to do.
And that's another thing. The way he was dressed, very casual, almost like pajamas.
He looked like he was ready to go out and like just kick it on the night. Like he looked like he was about to chill. He didn't look like he was like. I mean, look at photos of Prince. He used to wear very lavish clothing. I mean. Not Chris Brown. I'm blanking on the name.
While you think of the name, I have to tell you that
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Well, fun of the fact that he was basically wearing Shakespearean-like clothing and alluded to the fact that it looked like it was just sewn together at the last minute. Well, in Melbourne, his performance, he looked very laid back, very chilled.
And he's been like that lately. Silk was the material of his choice. I think it was silk. Did you think it was silk?
I'd say silk, yes. But however, I had one thing that stood out the most was his afro.
It was beautiful.
God, I've seen some good afros and bad afros. That was a really nice afro. He's stylish. He's stylish from head to toe.
He's just got so much charisma, doesn't he? And the thing was, when he came out, he sat by the piano on the stool. You look around and you just go, okay, so this venue, this small venue, 4,000 people at the most, it was packed. There was not one spare seat. You had a couple of candles. You had
some lights, some strobe.
Some lights, yeah. And the one thing was, with every Prince concert, you're not allowed to take videos.
And to the person above us who was shining his camera down at the audience, and every time he'd do that, the security guy would look at us like we were the ones with the phones out. No, fuck you, asshole. I had that light streaming at me and you for like the later half of that concert. And the people that actually did take out their phones, yeah, it actually annoyed Prince. He actually noticed it. He was like, midway through a song, I don't know what song it was, but I forget. He said, "And turn off your phones." It annoyed him.
I love that he did that. It just shows that, he's aware and he's human and we're in it together and he's with us, he's with us, so that was really cool. I love that. Let's talk about a couple of the highlights of the concert, because at the moment our podcast, before edit, is coming in at 1 hour nearly, so we've got to wrap it up soon.
This will be the last topic we talk about, but I will say this though. Well, let's make it one highlight each. I think that's easier. For me, that one highlight was his professionalism when that crazed fan jumped on stage, tried to hug him. The security guard, who, by the way, did an awesome job, dove right between Prince and her, hugged her back, mid-hug. He basically, cock-blocked her hard. Dragged her off stage, and as she's being dragged off, Prince looks at the microphone and says, "Honey, I ain't got your money." Come back after the show. And
Yeah.
he used that as fuel.
He was quoting one of his songs. The thing that was great, though, was that a lot of the time when artists do that, it's a plant. So that's like an insider term with regards to, hey, it's, going to be planned. This person's going to be planned. This is going to be here. It's going to be planned. The fact was there were 3 other concerts within the 2 days. Our one was the 4th. It didn't happen in any other one of the concerts.
This was just a truly crazed fan who, almost ruined the concert. Like, what saved the concert was Prince's reaction. Prince could have easily just stormed off and said, I'm not doing this anymore, it's freaking me out, I'm sorry. But no, he took that energy and was like, whew, I'm feeling excited tonight, let's do this.
And that leads to my highlight. My highlight would be the rest of the night after that. Before that, it was real relaxing. We were just watching a master at work, just playing that piano, running his fingers across that keyboard. He was just killing it. And then after that person had been taken off the stage, it's almost like the whole roof lifted off the joint. The adrenaline, we were all united in the spirit of fun for the night. Music played. He went with Kiss. He went with Raspberry Beret, and those songs, just everyone was up. Everyone was up. Everyone was dancing. Everyone was singing, and Prince was just strutting. It was just awesome. It was just my favorite. Looking at the audience here and there, and just giving them a little bit of a wink. It was just fantastic. And Little Red Corvette, which he sang earlier in the night. He'd done a couple of songs that people were not very familiar with because here in Melbourne, Prince has got like 39 albums. People in Melbourne don't know every single song on every one of those 39 albums.
I will admit that I'm quite ignorant to Prince's albums before the concert. After that, though, I sat down and listened to a few songs, rather, I should say. However, you're right. He has so much work out there, it's hard to catch up.
Absolutely. And then he got to Little Red Corvette, and what he was doing was he was about to start to play it. People could hear a couple of, those key notes. Okay, we're starting to get to Little Red Corvette, guess I should have known, my eyes, dun, dun. And then he just stopped, and he looked at everyone, and he's like, should I keep playing? Because he knew that everyone knows this song. He's trying to rib us. Should I keep playing this one, or should I, potentially not?
It's like when your parents hold up a piece of chocolate and you're out of reach and they're just constantly teasing you up and down for it. Like, do you want dessert? Yes or no?
You want the cookie?
Yeah, I want the cookie. Yeah, well, yeah. Everyone in that audience wanted the cookie.
Absolutely. So that was my favourite. But time to wrap up our first podcast.
Yes, and it was an interesting one. We went from Prince to Justin Bieber's dick back to Prince.
Yeah, well, we'll edit it. I don't think we'll edit that, Vlad. I'm not going to let you edit that.
This is our unofficial first podcast, so this is just a dry run at things, very spur of the moment, very spontaneous. However, we did cover a lot, especially you. I have to admit, when it comes to your knowledge of Prince, it's impressive, and I think you carried me very well. Thank you for that.
No worries. And we just felt like we had to do on Prince because...
We cover a wide range of topics. Prince is just... We feel that it's the most relevant right now, and also because... It's crazy that I have to thank you, first of all. You're the one who dragged me to that concert and said, we have to go. And I yielded. And you know what? I'm happy that I did because it was an amazing experience. But it won't be the only topic we talk about. We'll talk about anything from mainstream media to what's happening in the world of entertainment in other aspects, whether it be sporting or just purely, I don't know, sort of acting, I guess we'd say.
Well, anything that everyone really talks about. But, I was happy because ever since we went to that concert, which was about 8 weeks ago, I've been playing Prince non-stop. So
you've been addicted to Prince, like to the point where you were contemplating prior to his death actually going to America or going wherever he was just to listen to him again.
I was convinced I should have just gotten him to sing at my wedding when I had it. Well, I haven't had it yet, but if I do it.
A second mortgage on my parents' house and give you.
I was thinking, okay, so he's got a concert and he's charging $400 a ticket. There are about 4,000 tickets. So what's 4,000 times 400? It's a lot of money, right? Is it 1.6 million? I thought maybe if I could, is that right? I don't know if my maths is spot on, but if it's that amount, if it's 16 million, I'm struggling. But if it's 1.6 million, we can work on it. I might be in debt for the rest of my life, but it'd be worth it for having Prince at my wedding. But
you'll be the youngest guy with the biggest debt I know right now. Seriously, that if you went through with it.
So Justin Bieber would have the biggest dick, and I'd have the biggest debt.
True.
There we go. Anyway, we'll end it on there. Thank you for joining us.
Oh God, this has been fun. Thank you. Dude, I think you enjoyed this more than I did.